We have a tremendous economic strength in this country. We are the world's leader, but we are also in uncharted territory. You can't decide today the way it used to be. All these economists and stock market analysts have to throw out their rule books because the information age is what's driving it all. And that's what's changing the fundamentals of the marketplace. So it's great opportunities and a lot of risk.
So today, Bill Gates made more than $3 billion.
I talk to business people all the time who say the reason we don't like President Clinton and what he's doing is because he's not a businessman. He has no background in business, a career politician, career public servant, who doesn't have the experience of the 90s when we're living in a global economy. And maybe that could be one of the reasons why your plan seems to be stumbling. The business community says, this guy doesn't get it because he's never met a payroll.
Well, that's just ridiculous. But Senator, with all this rhetoric heating up, how do we calm it down? How do we get on the business of government and stop the pot shots back and forth to each other? What's the next step?
Well, my view is always to try to react if you get shot at.
Historically, Hong Kong has had just two natural resources, its harbor and its people. Well, now this harbor is one of the world's busiest, and its people some of the world's hardest working.
There was a developer that needed to clear a field one day, and he needed to do it at the end of the day, have all the trees cleared out. So he gets down to the union hiring hall, and he sees only two guys in the hiring hall. One guy's about 5'2", and the second guy's about 6'8". He looks like Paul Bunyan. Well, the developer has nothing else to do, so he hires both of these guys, takes them out to the field and says, whoever chops more trees by the end of the day gets a bonus. So Paul Bunyan thinks he's going to make it, so he starts chopping. 50 minutes into the chopping, the little guy takes a break. Big guy keeps chopping. Another hour goes by, 50 minutes, a guy takes a 10-minute break, you know, union rules. Continues on through noontime. The little guy takes his little bag of lunch and goes behind a tree. Big guy scoffles down his lunch, goes back to work. This goes on all afternoon. At 5 o'clock, the developer comes by and finds that the little guy chopped a third more wood than the big guy. Big guy grabs him by the scruff of his neck and said, "You cheated. How could you possibly do that?" And he said it was simple. While you were busy chopping wood, I was busy sharpening my axe. I was busy sharpening my axe. If you take 10 minutes out of every hour for events like the Churchill Club, 10 minutes out of every hour with groups such as this to brainstorm about innovation, you are sharpening your axe for the next decade. Thank you, panel. Thank you for having me. But in fact, many members of the international community consider you the most dangerous man in Russia. How do you respond to that?
It was a policy address, and at least for tonight only, Mr. Clinton was able to change the spotlight from his personal life to his policy agenda. Dennis and Elaine?
The communist demonstrators wanted to make sure that this demonstration was nonviolent. They didn't want to give Boris Yeltsin a single excuse to cancel the June 16th election.
The future of the Soviet Union no longer belongs to the people of the past, but the future. Let's take a look at the eyes and the sounds of the next generation of Soviets.
China has a population of 1.2 billion, 1 out of every 5 people on Earth. They may be communists, but they're rapidly turning into consumers. Experts predict this economy will grow by more than 10% per year and be one of the world's top marketplaces in the next decade. Near Shenzhen Province in the People's Republic of China, Brian Banmiller for the 10 o'clock news.
One of the biggest issues of the peace agreement is the release of prisoners. Here in Cross McGlen, heart of IRA country, the town is turning out to say, release our man.
The Irish like to call their country the Celtic Tiger, and no wonder. It's just been rated one of the world's most competitive economies, feeding the beast some of Silicon Valley's biggest companies.
Smoky Mountain is an embarrassment to the Philippine government. Already, they've moved a third of the population away to public housing.
What United Airlines says, and they said in bankruptcy court, is if we don't do this, the company will go belly up. We can't get financing unless we reduce these costs, and all these 100,000 workers or whatever will go out of, will not have a job at all.